exactly like last year, I believe once again we've seen a budget that stands for those three things: simplicity, consistency, and alignment. Simplicity, consistency, and alignment. And really, again, three themes stand out for me from that budget: fiscal prudence, of course, that capex focus, and finally, also a boost to consumption. Other standout themes, of course, there were also inclusive growth, as one expected, the job creation and the like. Inclusive growth and job creation. Leveraging technology stood out, through the budget. And finally, furtherance of that trust-based governance, so important to this regime. Top 5 picks from the budget that I saw at a high level before the experts get into it. Of course, fiscal prudence stood out, not just delivering the on the 6.4% fiscal deficit budget estimate of last year, but also firmly reiterating the commitment towards the glide path of FY26 of 4.5%, setting the target for next year at 5.9%, which is FY24, perhaps 5.2% in the year after that. She hasn't said that, but probably that's the sort of number to look at. Question to ask: could we now ask for a sovereign rating upgrade, perhaps? As people were talking, if we miss that, the potential of a downgrade. So firmly, I'd say the first point to note there is that fiscal prudence. Second one, I'd say, is inclusive growth. Bottom of the pyramid stood out right at the beginning. That focus on women's self-help groups, artisans, tourism, agriculture, etc., all aligned to our priorities at Thornton Bharat, helping shape a more vibrant Bharat, and sectors where we are really, the market leaders. The third, for the first time, I noticed progressive thinking on things like recognizing the loss of learning that happened during the pandemic, the loss of learning in our children who missed 2 years of in-person education, and the need to address that. Second one I noticed there was supporting the poor prisoners who are poor, who don't have the ability to fund their bail amounts and are sitting in prison. I really think that has to be complemented as a change of thinking in this government for a new India. The fourth aspect, I'd say, was announcing long overdue catch-up in the areas of artificial intelligence and soft power. Soft power is a theme I've been promoting since 2017. The hard power will come as India becomes that 5 trillion, 10 trillion economy. But soft power, which comes through things like tourism, things like those data embassies we heard about, is really going to propel the real value of India. And artificial intelligence is, where we're so far behind, not just the US and China, but so many other economies. So great to see, those 3 centers of excellence that were announced, and in a way that will be a partnership with academia and a partnership with the private sector. And last but not the least, if I can call it out, there was also that announcement on capping the surcharge on the highest income earners. People who earn more than 5 crores, now capping the surcharge, which will reduce that highest rate from near 43% to 39%. Almost an anti-populist measure. I would call it an anti-populist measure. People would have expected populist measures going into this budget, as people were talking about. And you have to give credit to the government to recognize that we were becoming anti-competitive, and therefore opening up the thought in people's mind on considering the Singapore, Dubai, etc. option. Not enough, but a great start on that. And I really feel overall, if I have to sum up, a furtherance of that trust-based governance, a furtherance of the theme we've seen over the last couple of years on simplicity and overall alignment of the budget. Sabke Saath, Sabka Vikas, as the government calls it. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.